Unit conversions from a standpoint of understanding. Here we go. The most valuable number in all the world is no doubt the number 1. When you're trying to simplify a fraction, you're simply dividing by the number 1 so that you end up with 2/3 as your final answer. If you look at this, that's worth 1, that's worth 1, that's worth 1, and now this becomes important. A minute divided by a minute, hey, it's an equivalent amount divided by equivalent amount. Those cancel. A minute goes into a minute once and into a minute once. That is also worth 1. Very important to us. Hey, Jack, you worked 8 hours. Tyler worked 4 hours. If we take 8 hours divided by 4 hours, do we get 2 hours? No, we do not. We get an 8 divided by 4, which is 2, but an hour divided by an hour is 1. We can slash these guys away and say there's 1 left. So what you're left with is 2, and what that implies is that Jackie worked twice as long as Tyler. All right, simplify this. In your mind, try to simplify that expression. Basically what happens is, if you have this, you could rearrange these numbers. This is cross cancellation. If we put the 20 first, then the y, and then the x, and on the bottom, the 10 first, then the y, and then the x, what we literally have is 20 divided by 10 is 2. Y divided by y is 1, and x divided by x is 1. So we're left with 2 from all this mess. But you don't have to go to the trouble of rearranging this. This is what cross cancellation is. X divided by x is 1. X divided by x is 1. So you literally divided by the top and the bottom by x, you divided by the number 1. So just get in the habit of that. You can cancel these guys out and know that they're worth 1. Hey, what we're going to do is 10 hours times this times this. Oh, you know what? We get to cancel units. There's an hour up in the numerator and there's an hour in the denominator. Those puppies can cancel. An hour divided by an hour is 1. A minute divided by a minute is 1. And all we're left with is seconds. And so we multiply 10 times 60 times 60, and we get, what do we get? 36,000 seconds. That's what we're going to be doing. The number 1 is huge in unit conversions. All right, the number 1, that's worth 1. That's worth 1. All those things are worth 1 because 1,000 cc's is 1 liter. So it's the same amount divided by the same amount. That's worth 1. 1 year is 12 months. They're equivalent things. The numerator is equivalent to the denominator. So that divided by that is really 1 if you think about it. This is worth 1. This is worth 1 because 60 minutes is equivalent to 1 hour. So 1 is the key to unit conversions from 2 perspectives. So here we go. Let's change 8 feet into inches. This guy thinks he has it. All we have to do is multiply 8 feet by the number 1. Because 12 inches is 1 foot. So by multiplying 8 feet by the number 1, we know we're not changing the value of it, we're just changing the way it looks. And now what do we get to do? Hey, a foot divided by a foot is 1. We have 8 times 12, which is 96, and the only units left are inches. So 8 feet is equivalent to 96 inches. Change 16 minutes to seconds. Well, we're going to take 16 minutes and we're going to multiply it by the number 1. But which 1? Should it be 1 minute over 60 seconds or 60 seconds over 1 minute? Well, if we tried this guy and we brought this over here, the minutes would not cancel with minutes. We'd be left with 16 minutes squared divided by 60 seconds. That's just ugly. That's messed up. That would not be the correct form of the number 1. What we want to do is also relate 60 seconds to 1 minute, but we want to do it this way. That's the form of the number 1 we want, so that now we can say, oh, look at this. A minute divided by a minute is 1. And so I'm left with 16 times 60, which is 9,600. Is that right? No, 960. Sorry, that's bad math. 960 seconds, because the only units left are seconds. There it goes. There we go. That is unit conversions. Okay, suppose it took you 2.3 years to finally clean your room. What's the hurry? How many seconds was that? Well, here we go. We have 2.3 years and we have to change it to seconds. So we need some conversions. Well, do you recognize that every one of these fractions, theoretically, would be worth 1? Because the numerator is the same amount of time as the denominator. 60 minutes is 1 hour, so technically, that's worth 1. Now the key is to keep multiplying this guy by values that are equal to 1 to get the years to cancel with years, and days with days, and minutes with minutes, so that all you're left with is seconds. So let's see how this works. Let's first convert 2.3 years to days. Well, it's got to be one of these two fractions that's worth 1, but keep in mind we want the years to cancel with years in the denominator, so it wouldn't be that guy we'd use, it's going to be this guy. So that what we can do is cancel the years with the years. So let's cancel as we go through. That will cancel with that, because a year divided by a year is 1. This will leave our new time amount in terms of days and not years. But now we have to change days into hours. So we're going to need either that guy, 24 hours in a day, or this, 1 day and 24 hours. Which fraction would do the trick of canceling days in the numerator with days in the denominator? By golly, be this guy. This is the guy we need. So we're now going to multiply by this form of the number 1, because the numerator is just as long as the denominator. But now we get to cancel. A day divided by a day is 1, so they cancel. Now if we were to multiply all this through, our units of time would be hours. Now we got to go from hours to minutes. So which form of the number 1 would it be? 1 hour over 60 minutes or 60 minutes over 1 hour? The answer is, you got to be able to cancel the unit of hours, so it's this form of the number 1. And now look what we get to do. An hour divided by an hour is 1. They cancel. We've now converted everything to minutes. And the last thing we do is convert to seconds. Which form of the number 1 would it be? By golly, it'd be that form, because we have to have minutes cancel with minutes. And sure enough, we can cancel minutes with minutes. And what's left is to multiply all those numbers together and know that the only units that are left are seconds. So we've converted everything to seconds. Quickly in your head, multiply those together. I'm guessing it's 72 million. I'm looking over here. 582,480. Yeah, I didn't really do it in my head. I had it written down ahead of time. There you go. That's our answer. Took you 72.5 million seconds to finally clean your room. What's the hurry? Okay, but suppose that I don't need. Anyways, that was the final answer. We're moving on. Suppose your brother is not nearly the procrastinator that you are. Only took him 2,700,000 seconds. Alright, how many days is that? Oh, this should be fun. We got to convert seconds to days. Well, let's first convert seconds to minutes. Do we go with this or with this? And the answer is this guy. Because if we line this up, we get to cancel. A second divided by a second is 1. Now we have everything in minutes. Okay, now we got to convert minutes to hours. So it's either this guy or this guy. Which one's going to help us to cancel minutes that currently are sitting in the numerator? Well, by golly, is this? Whoa, come to Papa, get over here. Alright, so it's this one right here. Okay, so now we get to cancel a minute divided by a minute is 1. Well, now we have our answer in terms of hours, but we have to convert this to days. There are 24 hours in 1 day, so how about we put that there? Does that work? Nope, because we'd have hours times hours, which is hours squared. So, go away, we don't love you anymore. It's this guy right here. Boop. This will allow us to cancel hours with hours, and we're still dividing by the number 1. Basically, a day is equivalent to 24 hours. So, hour divided by hour, woohoo! And there it is. Our final answer is going to be in days, because that's what we were after. So we multiply all this together, divide by this guy here. Our final answer is in days. And if we do this correctly, we should end up with 32 days. There it is. That's unit conversions. The key is to multiply by the number 1, like 10 kilometers. 10 kilometers multiplied by 1 mile per 1.60 kilometers, that will change this to miles. So we multiply by the number 1, and we also divide by the number 1. Because by lining it up this way, we can divide a kilometer by kilometer and get the number 1. So there it is, the key to unit conversions. It's all about the number 1, baby. That's how we roll.